how was it to actually transition from working on your own business in Cape Town, going around and commuting and all that stuff, and actually working for another company that has like a greater structure that could guide you and sort of like sort things out for you, and just having like a normal sort of like expectation that you'll get paid every month rather than running your own business?
Well, it definitely made my stress a lot less. You know, there's no, oh my goodness, we got to pay this, and I got to go and find this client, or I got to go and get this extra work in there. There's none of that continuous need to be out there making new sales to fill in the blanks. Um, there's obviously the other side of the coin. There's a negative in it, in that when I worked for myself, I knew everything about everybody's stuff. Now, working for somebody, I don't know everything about everything there, which is nice because, in actual fact, I get to learn some new things. I get to be out of that element space and work my way into another area. And there are obviously changes as well from working in the South African market and then working in the international market, specifically in the US in my case, where the way that people operate and the way that people talk is a little bit different. Um, and in that sense, I've had to adjust a couple of the things that I say and a couple of the ways that I work in order to relate to those people there. Um,
So,
Expectations are also
yeah.
different.
What cultural differences have you noticed between the US and South Africa in the way that business is done?
Yeah, in South Africa, things are a lot. Uh, People are more now kind of scenario. We need it right now, and this is how it's going to be. Whereas in the US, they're a little more open minded and a little more relaxed about it. Um, they also, I mean, one of the bigger things is on that side. I noticed they're more aimed at process, and things need to be done X, Y, Z, P. Doesn't matter what it's going to cost us to do it, or if it's uncomfortable or something like that. We do it this way, and we do it that way. Over here, when I was working for myself, I always had to try and make accommodations for certain clients because, we don't need that, or we don't know what that does, or on the other end of the scale, I just don't want to do it. So, there are those changes, but I think that also has to do with the company that I'm working with. Um, they have a certain set way of doing things. It has opened my eyes on a few other expectations in terms of what would be expected from an IT person. There are a couple of things, though, on the other end that we do that they don't do. Um, and that way, I've tried to adjust that into their side as well, and they're like, "Oh yeah, but that actually makes sense." So, we're learning and helping each other to grow on both ends.
So you have a sort of reciprocal sort of like you're bringing what you can to the table. You're improving the operations of the company that we've assigned you to and all that
Mm.
stuff, and it just kind of works out in the end. Whereas like you feel it's a good fit based on like
Yeah.
the interview. Now, we had two companies that we interviewed you with when we were studying.
Mm.
Can you just compare the two interviews that you had? Because I think this is very important for potential clients to understand. Like I mean, I was in both of the interviews, and I
Mm.
realized the drastic sort of difference between the two
Mm.
interviews that you had. So
Well, the one was more like an interrogation than an
yeah,
interview. It was kind of like bang, what's this? Bang, bang, bang. Whereas the second one, it was more of an interaction with the client. We had conversation. I mean, even in a certain point in the interview, we had a little moment of back. No, but I think this, and you think that. So there was even a resolved conflict interaction in the interview, which in the grand scheme of how an interview goes, for me personally, the first interview, I was not happy with it. I didn't feel I was not comfortable. I didn't want to be in that position there because of the basis that I got from the interview. Obviously what I see in the interview is what I might expect to get when I'm working there. Now with my second one, the interview was great. We had nice conversation. We made some jokes. As I said, we had a little I wouldn't use the word disagreement. It was more like a difference of opinion, which was later resolved on, oh yeah, I understand your point, you understand my point, and and further to that, that gave me the sense that when I worked there, I would get the same kind of interaction, if not better. Because normally when you're in an interview or meeting a person for the first time, you're up there on that extra, you got a few extra guards up in front of you, applying a few little extra intellectuals where you need to, putting your best foot forward, as they would say. So as I mentioned, obviously the grand scheme of it, the very first interview was unpleasant, and the second one was pleasant.
And so we decided to go with the second one, obviously, and
Right.
you actually shopped around and had two interviews to compare with, like, and this is something like the best applicants of ours really have two or three choices that they can go with, and the people who are most experienced get to choose which company they go for, and that's like actually an opposite frame that I'm very happy to give the best candidates, actually. Like, it's like, okay, so we're in the middle, support a venture. We're looking for the best companies, the best people, and to match them up, basically, like a matchmaking agency. And the whole thing is like, we want to find the right match. And so how has the match evolved over the last few months? I mean, how have the conversations evolved? How's the trust evolved?
Well, it's been 3 months since I've been there. In the beginning, things were a little bit different in the sense that, a certain way that I speak and a certain way they speak and how things are operated. And I spent a lot of time investigating their style. They obviously asked me questions about things that I did as well. And through that process, we've come to learn, what things how they do things and what they can actually do for their clients, as opposed to what I can provide to them to enable their clients a little bit better. There's some clients who ask for me by name now because I want that guy. He's helped me. He's done my thing. I want him. And because of that kind of process, look, they've got a very nice reward system whereby if people give you praise, you get points, and from the points you can actually purchase stuff for yourself, Amazon or games, Xbox, whatever. So in that regard, I've been getting quite a bit of that as well from my peers, from clients. And in that respect, they've noticed it and they're like, yeah, okay, let's give him some other things to do. And as time has gone by, I've gone from doing small jobs, basically where they're feeling the waters, to getting further in, and to the point now where on Monday I have to liaise with another team in Germany in order to get a whole remote service set up for one of the clients there. So in that regard, I've grown with my knowledge in the company, as has my position within the company in terms of what I get to do. In that way, further to that, on the personal side of things, the conversations I have with people, we're more understanding each other a little bit better. In the beginning, you might say something and the person's like, it's a lost cultural change in terms of a certain expression or way things are said. Like, as an example, most of the times when I say to a person, just give me a moment while I'm looking up something, the Americans go, you're good, you're good. Everybody's like, you're good. On my side, most people go, no problem, no problem. So there's certain phrases and mannerisms that I've now picked up and have gone through in order to relate better with the people. And our conversation internally with the other guys that I work with has also progressed a bit more. We're a lot more friendly with each other. We're a lot more chatty. It's not all just work, and how can you help me and how can you do that? We also do the common thing that most guys do when we work in an environment. We poke at each other about things, send jokes over here and there. Oh, your computer's broken. Here's how you fix it. Send them a gif of a hammer. Bang. So in that regard, I think it's growing every day that I work, and everything that I do with them, our relationship together is growing.
Yeah. So, and do you feel that you're actually having more growth than you could if you just stayed running your own business in South Africa?
Definitely do feel that I am getting that in the regard that I'm learning newer products and newer ways of doing things. And further to that, I also get a lot of training from them. I get training on business processes, training on just basic things on how to convey and how to speak with people and how to identify certain characteristics in order to help you work your job better. Further to that, we've obviously got all the technical training that comes with it, learning new systems in terms of the support side of it, how you provide the support to the client, and further to that, what the client actually has, the systems that they've got there, and what this does, and how that operates. Um, one of the benefits with them is they do also have larger corporate clients, which means that the depth or the actual infrastructure in that client is a lot larger than what I'm used to, and therefore there are more working parts, more things to consider, and expanding that knowledge or that thought process to incorporate a couple of other things. Um,
Right. So, what are the biggest differences? Like, okay, so going from being a sort of self-employed sort of computer technician to being like a contractor for Support Adventure, what are the biggest sort of like differences? Like, is it working with a team? Is it using the ticketing system? Is it like what are the biggest differences, and what are the biggest things that you had to sort of adjust to?
Well, the biggest difference for me is when I worked for myself, there wasn't really a schedule, a time schedule, in the sense that I work now, then for 2 hours, I don't have any work to do. I'll browse the internet, go look for something or whatever, and then do some more work later. Whereas what I have now is I'm in at 8 and I'm working, bang, 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 the whole day. When I get to a certain point and I don't have any work to do, oh, let's throw in some training there. Um, and in that other time I also get to help people, and there is another dynamic that changes for me. Previously it was just myself and another guy, and really we didn't work together. He kind of ran one side, I ran one side. We basically told each other what's going on and helped where we needed. But now with the team that I'm working in, there's much more interaction with other people, especially within the technical environment. And in that way, I'm also learning some tricks that other people have got, and they're learning some tricks from me. In the sense that, oh, have you thought about doing it this way? No, I didn't even know it could do that. Oh, let's try it. Um, so that is progressing things for me a lot different. Uh, the only other thing for me is the time management. The time in the day and in the night. Obviously, because I'm working in the US, technically my daytime is the nighttime. So my personal life has had to adjust a little bit more to try and get things done during the day and then work in the night. The first little bit when we started working, it was a little bit of a transition change, try this, try that. And eventually we found the rhythm that now kind of works. Um, and that I think was probably the biggest difference for me was the working time.